Hello and welcome back to the channel of nonsense. Now, if there's one single word that has made me want to shoot myself in the face several times in 2021, it is mobility. It seems that everything is about mobility these days. Every car show this year has been renamed to be a mobility show, and it just annoys me a little bit. Can't we talk about cars and motorbikes and scooters anymore? Everything has to be a mobility solution. Anyway, this is the Seat Mo. Technically, I guess this is an e-mobility solution because it's an electric scooter badged up as a Seat, you know, the Spanish company that makes cars, and it's part of the Volkswagen group. This is a smidge under $5 grand. It's an electric scooter for urbanites. Let's go for a ride and see if it's any good. Yes, this is it in all its orangey ready glory. This is technically the Seat Mo eScooter 125, and it's called a 125 because it's said to give comparable performance to a 125cc scooter, of which there are millions and millions in the world. So if we can make an electric version of all of those, it's probably a good thing for planet Earth, isn't it? So yes, £4,996 on the road after the UK government's electric vehicle grant, or you can pay £95 a month for 4 years, but then you actually own it. That's hire purchase, not PCP. This party piece really is a removable battery, which we'll get onto in a bit. It can do 59 miles an hour flat out, and it's got an electric range of 85 miles in eco mode, but realistically kind of more like 50, or if you absolutely spank it, kind of closer to 40. You're going to be able to buy these through 24 Seat dealers here in the UK, and it is just designed for urban life and to give scooter riders and owners, of which there are so many, an electric option. Let's talk about some of the technical bits. It comes in red, it comes in white, and it comes in aluminium, which is kind of grey. You've got these DRLs here around the headlight, and it's got integrated indicators as well. It's got a side stand down here, and it's got a centre stand, and it's incredibly easy to get up onto those. It is a bit hefty for a scooter. It's 152 kilos, 40 kilos of which is that removable battery, but actually when you're on it, when you're riding it, as we'll find out, that weight does sort of disappear. Should also show you, because it's a scooter, you can pop the seat up and there's a whopping great storage space under here for 2 full face helmets, and the charging cable. Now, in terms of the battery and the electronics on this bike and the powertrain, I suppose it's a 9 kilowatt motor, which is about 12 horsepower, which is the same as an average 125cc scooter. Obviously this is a lot heavier, but this has got 240 newton meters of torque, which is 20 times the torque of something like a Honda PCX 125. So it is massively torquey for a scooter. It'll do 0 to 31 miles an hour in 4 seconds, which sounds fairly slow, but actually it's quite quick when you're on it. Battery charging is a little bit slower. You can only charge this off a 240 volt 3-pin domestic socket, and that can take anywhere between 6 and 8 hours from empty. It only charges at 600 watts because the company that actually builds this, which is a Spanish company called Silence, their name is down there, it's Silence if you're not putting on a dodgy accent, they say this is built to be durable and to last. That's why it doesn't charge at a ridiculous rate, because they want to keep it running, well, forever and ever and ever, basically, so it's not a disposable thing. In terms of chassis components, it's got this single-sided air-filled shock at the back, single-sided swing arm, and it's got a 3-piston caliper at the front, gripping a 260mm disc. There's a 240mm disc at the back. Obviously, because this is heavier than a regular scooter, it's got slightly beefier brakes. Now, it doesn't have ABS, but it's got combined brakes. So 3-piston front caliper, 2 of those are used when you use the front lever, and 1 is used in conjunction with the rears when you use the left lever, and that also gives you regenerative braking, so you get some battery energy put back in when you use that left lever, which is quite cool. There are 3 riding modes. I'll just rattle through those now. I don't know if you can see that. The screen doesn't actually look like that, it's just a filter on my camera. You've got Sport, you've got City, and you've got Eco, and you get different levels of regenerative braking in those. In City mode, it actually just coasts when you let go of the twist grip. Otherwise, it's fairly simple motorbike controls. You hold the left lever and the mode button to turn it on, and there's a key down there as well. You've got an indicator switch which beeps, so it's a reminder that you've got it on, which is quite handy because you don't want to be an indicator knob. And it all feels perfectly fine, actually. The levers are nice and chunky. They've got adjustments here. I mean, it doesn't feel like it's been built down to a price up here, really. And you've got a little curry hook as well down here. Now I'm going to put my gimbal down and show you the removable battery, because that is quite cool. Right, to remove that 5.6 kilowatt hour battery, you need to pop the seat up, which you can do by turning the key back on itself, or if the ignition's on, the side stands down, just pull both the levers in. That pops up. And there's a little latch in here, so you pull this up, the handle for the battery, and you lift the little flap up. And out it slides. It's 40 kilos, so it's pretty heavy, but it's on wheels, and a little stand flicks down at the front of it, so you can walk away and leave it there. Now if you want to charge it, it's got a 3-pin kettle lead on it, so you can take it into your house and charge it. That's kind of like the sort of plug that you use to plug into the back of your PC, or there's one on the other side of it, so you can actually charge it while it's in the scooter. It's quite clever, it's quite neat, and it's got this little ring of lights on it, which you can punch. No, if it's in the bike, you can hit that, and it shows you a ring of lights to show you how charged it is, so you don't have to go out and turn your scooter on. You can just kick the side of it, and it will say it's empty. Anyway, let's stick that back in and go for a ride. Am I going to be able to do this? 40 kilo trolley, in you go. That is actually really, really easy. So yeah, well done, Silence/Seat. Anyway, let's hop on, go for a ride and see what it's like on my little private test track that I've got here. Okay, let's jump on the Seat Mo and go for a ride. I've got this entire private kind of learner driver facility to myself, so can't take it on the road. For the very simple reason is that Seat can't register them at the moment because it's a new thing. It's got to go through all sorts of government boring agency processes before they can stick a registration number on it. So yeah, so it's off-road review at the moment, but not off-road, just on a little road course here. So key on, pull that in, hold that, it was on already, fine. And I'm in city mode. I've just switched to sport because I've pressed buttons while getting on it because I'm an idiot. But anyway, I'll show you the screen, hopefully you can see that. You get a battery readout, 94%, you get a range readout, you get your 2 trips, you get an odo, and all that kind of stuff, and a little power graph. Let's start in city mode, because that's probably where most people are going to use these. And the initial impressions are, this is as easy to ride as any other scooter. Look, you can ride this down to the, what's that? Let's see if we can just go along. Can we do 1 mile an hour? Yeah, 1 mile an hour. That's how good the balance is, not my balance, but the balance of the scooter. So yeah, obviously no moving parts, no gyroscopic forces other than the wheels itself. But yeah, dead easy to posture about on. The mirrors, you can move them about, they're pretty easy. They are on those annoying mounts with 2 nuts that lock against each other, so that I've just made that one go wobbly, but you know, that's happened on Ducatis to me in the past. Oh dear. Point out the thing that might go wrong and then it goes wrong. That's a classic, isn't it? There we go. Right, fine. Yeah, so what I would say is that the throttle feels really natural. You don't really think about the fact it's electric. If you're coming from a twist and go scooter, other than you've got a lot more torque, it just feels really natural to ride in terms of the way it accelerates. I would say the friction brakes, the front brakes, they're alright, but you can sense there's a bit more mass than a regular scooter to stop, so you have to squeeze them quite hard. On the other side, you've got the rear brake, the joint brakes and regenerative brakes, which are almost too strong. If you brush that lever, it can give you a lot of braking that you might not be expecting. So that one squeezed harder than you think, that one squeezed less hard than you think. Is that scientific enough? I'm not sure that's scientific at all. But yeah, the regenerative brakes in the wet, I've been using the left one because I know that's giving me linked brakes, whereas the right one just gives you front brake, and because it's joined ABS, you can lock the front wheel up, and there's lots of wet leaves over there, and you can get some slightly dodgy front end skids going on if you're not careful. So it's just something to bear in mind, and I think most electric scooters have the similar issue where they don't have a full-on ABS system. They've got joined C-ABS, or it's a combined ABS, so all this grit on the middle of the road, I don't want to hammer the front brake in that, but I'll use the left lever, and I can skid the rear instead, it turns out. So yeah, I'm obviously not going to be able to give you the definitive handling verdict, but I would say it steers really nicely. It's very light, it's very flickable, it's very agile. So you'll be absolutely fine threading this through urban traffic, hopping up onto pavements, that sort of thing. I would say the ride's pretty decent as well. With small scooter wheels, often over potholes like that, it's just horrible. This, you get some jiggling, you get some pattering, like I'm aiming for the worst ones, and it's not uncomfortable. It's not kicking me out of the seat or anything like that, so I just don't think you're going to really notice the extra mass on the move, other than, as I said, through the right brake lever. Whee! Not going to be getting my knee down, sadly. Some decentish Pirelli tyres, so it's not had corners cut there. We should probably talk about the speed of it as well, because it's electric. You might be thinking, oh my god, 240 newton meters of torque in a scooter from 0 RPM is going to feel like a bit of an animal. Let's try and do a dodgy U-turn here, and I'll show you why that isn't the case. Yeah, again, that balance. 3 mile an hour U-turn, couldn't do that on a Ducati Panigale. Right, let's stick it into sport mode. There we go. So the power is managed nicely, so you never get a surprise when you twist that. It's not going to take off and terrify you. Once you're up to speed, you can twist it and you'll go quite quickly, but away from the get-go, that's full throttle. So yeah, that's 30 miles an hour already, pretty quick. And that's 45, 50 miles an hour. And it will get up to about 60. Should we see if we can hit 60 down this next straight? Yeah, top speed is 59 miles an hour, but I imagine that if you're sitting at top speed on dual carriageways, it's going to absolutely rinse the battery range. So yeah, I haven't tested that, but a word of advice is don't buy this if you've got a lot of 60 limit stuff. Alright, what we're going to get to, it's 57, and I've got to brake because the braking zone is mostly leaves up here, and I don't want to slam the brakes on that. So yeah, I mean, it gets to its top speed pretty quickly, and it just feels like it's got a normal throttle on it. It's nicely connected, and it's got more mid-range shove than a regular scooter. Look, it's just picking up and it's going. There's no noise, there's no histrionics. See how quickly we stop this driver. Oh yeah, little slither to the side there as the back end locked up. So yeah, the scooters are kind of dicking around on, aren't they? There's some more experienced bike journalists here who've said they've had some nice little slides out of it. I won't be doing that. But yeah, as a little tool for nipping around, I honestly can't fault this. I love the fact it's silent, it's electric. What I should also say is that you don't hear anything rattling around. In some early electric cars, you kind of don't have an engine to mask the noises that you get, and this doesn't have any nasty plasticky rattling. So yeah, bravo Silence and Seat for paying Silence to make you one. Whee! It's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty cool thing. Whoa. Yeah, little skids. It's fun. It's a fun, joyous thing. And I guess the whole point of Seat doing this is that their brand is all about being joyous, fun, and blah blah blah, e-mobility. Anyway, enough waffling. Hopefully that was vaguely interesting. Back to you, Tim, for an outro. I'm going to have a bit of cake from that van over there. Just before I park up here, obviously I'm not going to nose in because I'm not a reprobate and I did pass my GCSEs, but there's a little reverse switch by my index finger. So there's a little green button. You hold it, it beeps, and it beeps like a truck, and then you use the twist grip to back yourself in. It's got a reverse gear. Well, it's just the motor spinning backwards, isn't it? But that's very handy, and that's very easy to use, and it's very soft, and it's not scary. You just have to keep it held in while you twist the twist grip. It's a cool thing, complete package. Now let's do an outro while I play with my curry hook and get some cake. So in conclusion, what do I think of the Seat Mo eScooter 125? I probably said the wrong words there. It's really good. It's really good. There aren't that many drawbacks other than battery range could always be better, but I think, to be honest, 50-60 miles if you're doing urban commutes is probably enough. And obviously you can charge it at home because you can whip the battery out. So even if you've got on-street parking, you can still take this into your house and charge it, and it's not going to be any slower than charging it in the bike. So yeah, it's quite a compelling thing. There's obviously not much to go wrong on it because there's no real oily bits. The ride is pretty decent. It doesn't feel too heavy, it doesn't feel too leaden. Only slight criticism is I wish it had proper ABS, because that combined system will still let you lock the front wheel, so you kind of get used to using the left lever a bit more than the right one. But I really quite like it. It's a smart looking thing. I think Seat's probably done quite a sensible thing by getting into this market, because they're a cool Spanish brand and lots of people in Spain do have scooters and people like the Seat brand over there. I don't know if it will sell in huge numbers over in the UK, but certainly in London you've got to think there's a market of people with £5 to spare who want electric futuristic things that they can use for getting to work in the shop. So there we go, pretty decent thing. I would have one if I lived in London and could insure one, because my insurance in London always used to be crap. But anyway, enough waffle. Thank you ever so much for watching. If this has been helpful, please hit like, and if it hasn't, then please hit like, then stare into the evil eyes of the Seat Mo, and I'll see you next time. And I'm not stood in a rainy car park in Essex. Goodbye. I'm from Essex. I'm not actually slagging Essex off, but it is a bit rainy and I'm in a car park, so that was accurate. Bye.